We are live. This is the market update. Why is the market down? Stonks up, crypto down. Crazy. Two things. One, when it comes to quarter end, a lot of buying and selling happens in markets. That doesn't make much sense. It doesn't need to, right? Because big hedge funds, especially big mutual funds in equities, are moving stuff around. It's position adjustments, not something you need to pay attention to technical analysis necessarily. So if you have crypto hedge funds puking, or you have, retail traders that bought on Saturday and then they had to wind up puking it out today, or if you have big players trying to force it down with the idea of a reversal over the big 4th of July weekend. What will be the surprise trade? There will be one. This down trade this morning could have been it. I thought about that, but I'm like, not much of a surprise, right? I'm looking for a shocker. Now, just so you know, in Patreon Platinum, I just released kind of like a day trading update as to how to play it in case the big move was up, right? It's kind of simple and easy with a couple little Gann twists. But the idea is there are some incredible reasons to get on chain. One of them happens to be the mayoral race in New York City. Now, I don't know how much of that I can talk about, but safe to say, being on chain outside the system, along with privacy. So not only have I got a privacy altcoin, which I know and love, seen a couple big privacy tweets out there. No one's connected that to New York yet. And I got a cyberpunk novel, Hackers versus Hedge Funds. You're going to want to stick around for that. Now, some other news items, just briefly. Did you know that registered investment advisors, I used to call them stockbrokers, they're basically like miniature portfolio managers. High net worth individuals have them. Their job is to go out and get assets under management. They want people to bring their money to their company, and they want to be the lead person helping them make decisions. Now, traditionally, it's 60 stocks, 40 bonds, and that hasn't worked in 3 years, really. I mean, the 60 stocks portion has, but a 60-40 portfolio compared to Bitcoin or the Magnificent Seven is meh at best. I had one guy talk about 50 equities, 30 Bitcoin, 20 other, and people thought he was crazy. And then today, some registered investment advisor guru is suggesting 40% Bitcoin. So at 80K, it was 1 to 2%. At 107, it's 40% because, like I said, when it's up, it's much more attractive, much cheaper. I love it more when it's up, but I don't want it when it's down. Speaking of down, again, this market last day of June, depressing, right? Altcoins can't seem to put back-to-back up days together, and I get that. I get that it's frustrating. However, consider the setup, right? Right on the title of the thumbnail, the setup. Everyone out, everyone negative, everyone telling us that the only way to trade markets is through stocks. All coins are dead. Okay. Solana and XRP ETF around the corner. Massive institutional FOMO are going to come into those products. I don't think anyone like ARK or Coinbase or maybe Galaxy Digital's got a lot of Solana, but I don't think people are as positioned for those ETFs as you might want to be. Not to mention there is the July 4th catalyst. So in the event you haven't heard, I have this theory that on American holidays, crypto loves to do big moves, right? Everyone goes to the beach or has dinner, all right? And then boom, something big happens. Does the orange man have a big, beautiful crypto surprise? right? Because we know what the negative stuff is, right? All coins can't rally. But what if there's a July 4th crypto surprise? What if everybody's afraid of a geopolitical event and you get a Bitcoin tax break, for example, right? No transaction tax on Bitcoin. Orange Man's on the tape, says, we're having win after win after win after win. That's debatable, but we could use a crypto win. And even if we don't get a crypto win, this New York City mayor candidate may have some interesting things to say on American Independence Day. I could cover this. I don't know how much I can talk about it. I've got one little thing I want to show you, but his money is his money. Your money is his money, and he's not kidding around. He's saying the quiet part out loud. So for everyone who lives in Manhattan, for all the big Wall Street firms that are there, watch out, right? The case to get on chain, the case to have this trade move from Circle and Coinbase, which everyone is in love with, and I'm super happy about that. But the trade has not spread out. The trade has not spread out in AI. The trade has not spread out in DeFi either, right? It makes sense. I mean, if everyone wants stable coins, what about DeFi, right? The market's not connecting the dots here. And on top of that, the market is discouraging everybody, right? This feels like somebody took a weekend market to pump it and then drop it. I know it sounds crazy, to make it look worse than it really is. To make the market look worse than it really is. Why? Because they're going to hoover it all up, which is why Solana and XRP were down early and then they came back. Because as soon as stonks close, right, the clock for them, for legacy, ticks over to the new month. So all the month-end gymnastics in equities is over. And now we can sort of, go back to trading crypto as it is. Now, of course, the end of the month doesn't come for a couple of hours in crypto, depending on how you look at it. But what happens if what happened over the weekend is a fake out? Have you considered a July 4th reversal? Now, that said, you're going to want to have stop losses in place in case crypto is down for some reason we don't know about. But every time everybody gets afraid in crypto, right? What was it first? Tariffs, World War Z, blah, 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 blah. The things that you need to be concerned about, getting on chain, privacy, sound money, right? Because now we're back with government debt, right? Now the big, beautiful bill is all of a sudden bullish for stocks. Orange Man going to grow his way out of the problem. A couple months ago, it's the end of government debt. It's the end of the risk-free rate. It's the end of the U.S. financial system, with Ray Dalio on the tape saying we're going broke. Which is it? Okay, well, it's probably neither, because those are extremes. What does seem logical is that they're printing money. They're printing money via stable coins, right? Treasury bills and bonds go out there, and that allows the Treasury to create money. Complicated? Yes. But there's a reason why the government is so in love with stable coins, because it allows the Treasury to create money along with the Fed. Then you have the big, beautiful bill sugar. Then the Orange Man is on the tape saying he wants Fed funds at 1% to 2%. Now, what he doesn't realize is, I don't know that necessarily means mortgage rates and car loan rates, fall in that type of fashion, because those rates are set by the market. But you get what I'm saying, right? Sugar, sugar, sugar. And yet they sell crypto, or they suppress crypto till they unsuppress crypto while you're at the beach. At least that's the working theory that I just gave to Patreon Platinum, and of course in the YouTube member area. Toby, who just wrote a book about 2050, right? Hackers versus hedge funds. We'll go over that later. But in the 2050 world, crypto saves you. Crypto saves you. Like today, everyone's like, my bags. I woke up this morning, I was like, I'm depressed. Okay. But I'm not going to let that get to me. So let's welcome who's here. All right. What do we got? Bull Runner, first on the stream. Dude, what's up? I'm not Bruce or Cliff. Hello. Gianni, hello. A member. They've taken your names off, by the way. So I'm reading people's YouTube handle. So if you want to use your name, use it in the comments if that works for you. Grandpa Keeter in the house. Q3 is coming. One of the 3 months should yield some decent moves. Yes, update on AINTI. They are working hard behind the scenes, and I like the chart, and I like the New York City mayoral candidate. I think he's going to make us rich. Don't laugh. Island Style, welcome. A member. Hammering away with those emojis. DC Precise, I'm not Bruce or Cliff. P Daddy Crypto, what's up? Felix, right? I should have invested in the stock market instead of crypto. A universally held and understandable sentiment. Understandable, right? Except for the fact that that may not work for the next 2 years. It's working today, and we'll go over why, but that may not be the way to go. Matter of fact, we know it's not the way to go, because if you're in the YouTube member area, right, if I try to mention World War Z or why are stonks going up, like I don't even get it out of my mouth before Ace Analyst Toby just says, you know what, Bill, stop it. She smacks me with their new book. She's like, shut up, right? Crypto miners, finally, dude, I said this. If stonks don't go down, Bitcoin miners, crypto stocks. Oh my God, dude. Leading indicator, Circle and Coinbase. It's not complicated. 2 stocks in a sector move. All the stocks in a sector move. You haven't missed anything, right? I mean, the Bitcoin trade could spread into crypto equities, right? DNT save her. Loco for crypto. What's up? GME Kitty. Hello, Wagami. Odd Dark. Huckleberry Native. Hojo. Ram. UT Stockman. Kim Craig is here. What's up? You Truckmon for freedom. Good evening, everybody. This is the market update. Okay. Now, let's start off. I'm going to do some minor screen sharing. We're going to try a new format. More talking, less screen sharing. Ready? Rapid fire. So, hedge funds. Trump has decided to go for broke. If you're in real estate and you owe a lot of money and the project's not going well and you have tons of debt, what do? Oh, that's easy. You borrow more. You just say, okay, well, I'm in debt. Okay. Well, if I'm going to go bankrupt for 100 million, let's go for 150. Let's try to get our way out of this problem. Okay. Insane spending. Elon spent $230 million not getting what he wants. Word has it, they're hammering solar tax breaks in favor of coal. There's a lot of things in a big, beautiful bill that don't make sense. And alienating this guy is a mistake. What's Elon's only way back in? Bitcoin. And he just won't do it. He just won't do it. Now, did he get hosed? Yes. However, when this guy started and freaked out, that started a chain of events where kind of America showed weakness and, things went sideways from there. You don't always get what you want. It's too bad Elon's not getting what he wants because a lot of other crypto bros are. Generally speaking, I'm sick of crypto bros. I'm sorry. I'm sick of tech bros. Let me say that again. Generally speaking, I'm sick of tech bros. These guys are like masters of the universe. It's insane. Just to put this quarter in perspective in equities, equities give you like a 5% return, generally speaking. Equities were down 15% during the second quarter. They are now up 5.6% for the year. Can you believe it? Can you absolutely believe that? Fear greed in stocks earlier in the quarter was at 0. Now they're FOMOing in on an all-time high. At the low, they were wrapping a recession narrative around the price action. Now they're wrapping government debt is bullish around the price action. Unbelievable. This also should be an indicator that the Fed may have high-powered money in the system. I don't think anyone has thought of that. We're not seeing that in crypto. But again, if you're in equities, only 22 stocks. We'll go over the PowerPoint later. Do you realize in equities, according to statistics that I read, the whole market's making an all-time high, right? Only 22 stocks are making an all-time high. That means people panicked to such a degree that they came in and they FOMO'd into just a small number of stocks because they know those stocks are good, probably because they may be AI or tech connected. Normally, when stocks make a new high, you'll get like anywhere between 40 and 80, 50 to 60 new, stocks making new highs leading the market. The leadership over there is very narrow. So let's talk about that for just a second. You have 22 stocks worthy of an all-time high. Yet the entire decentralized system, frankly, including Bitcoin, at its lows, 50% off its lows, Bitcoin's 5-6% off of its high. Are you telling me that Bitcoin, looking at it as kind of one of the big tech stocks, shouldn't be one of the stocks or instruments making a new all-time high? And if Bitcoin does make a new all-time high, and they have some big July 4th announcement, right? What happens? What happens to altcoins? Also, remember, and this was true back, I think, during the campaign, right? The market would lean bearish, or they would say something that might be bearish, and then the next thing you know, there'd be a tweet, and boom, the market would switch the other way and go up. They love, the guys that advise the orange man on markets, they love to get everyone leaning negative and then boom, make an announcement. I mean, the market can always go down, right? The market's been going down. There could be, there's all these events, right? Okay, so there's another event. So the market could go down. What else is new? What else is new? I think you can use this down trade to get positioned for a surprise, because there's a reason why Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP were down early this morning substantially. And then as soon as the whole quarter end gymnastics was done, they kind of came back. We'll do a check on the market soon. Now, you always get what you want, right? Billionaire bunker, how Jeff Bezos and Lauren live in Florida's enclave. So I don't know if you heard about the $50 million wedding where they closed down the city of Venice, literally. They just gave politicians money to shut down Venice, to fly in the super rich, to have a nice wedding. How nice, right? And when you have stuff like that, what do you get? You get this. You get Zohran doubles down on a plan, right? Doubles down on a plan to come after people of a certain demographic, okay? Of a certain demographic in very wealthy neighborhoods. So he was like, if you live in this neighborhood, we're going to tax you, and I don't believe in billionaires. And I'm not a big fan of capitalism. I mean, this guy's on a roll. What's your job in social media? To get as much attention as possible. Okay. So this guy's getting as much attention as possible, and everybody in New York thinks this can't happen. This could be the crown, the triple crown, right? Nobody thought it was Barack in 2008. Nobody thought it was the Orange Man in 2016. And nobody thinks this guy can win in New York. And he doesn't have to win in New York. He just has to make it close before everybody realizes that, a bail-in means they just go straight into your bank account. Are they going to raise taxes? Are they going to do that? Or are they just going to go straight in and take it? It's a question you have to ask yourself, because, again, the dude's getting attention by being more and more and more radical. I mean, somebody said something not so nice in the Middle East the other day, and he's like, I'm not condemning that. That's fine. The guy's making himself perfectly clear. He's also making himself perfectly clear about what he thinks about people with money. And I'm going to be perfectly clear about what I think about privacy. Namely, I'm not going to shut up about it, because I know I'm going to be so right with that. It's not even funny. Anybody thinking about a top hasn't seen Bakkt's $1 billion filing or BlackRock adding 1,500 Bitcoin per day. Next 6 months should be absolutely mental. Coinbase now holds 81% of all crypto ETF assets, right? I mean, it's like Coinbase is becoming like Goldman Sachs almost seemingly overnight. Of course not. They've been working and working and working and working for years. But what's going to happen the next 6 months, right? Can altcoins, can somebody, when only 22 tech stocks are worth an all-time high, can somebody come into crypto and say, yeah, you know, we got a lot here, especially with Circle and Circle, Robinhood, Coinbase, Cynthia Loomis. Bloomberg raises odds for XRP, Sol, and Litecoin to 95%. Holy cow. Now, if you wanted to know why the market was down this morning and you don't like my quarter end theory, so we have an AI photo of Brad getting an XRP tattoo. Who knows if that's correct or not, but Brad posts 1,000%, 1.1 million views on that tweet. So when people get tattoos that are Super Bowl commercials, the first thing that happens is the market goes down. But, you know, XRP is back up. We'll check where it is later to see how it's doing. XRP, QNT, all these networks designed for fast payment. There's even something I saw out there. It's like a new project. Not going to like talk about it, the name, until I've researched it. But basically this thing is like, give us your bank account. We'll take your ETH or your Solana or whatever, and we'll just sell it for you and drop it into your account so you're not going through exchanges. I think people would pay extra fees for that because the exchanges are charging huge fees for that. The Bitcoin calm rarely lasts. You know, this is so true. It's so true in the XRP calm. Now, a lot of times when markets sit still and don't do anything, that's a recipe for something bad to happen. So believe it or not, even though this is crazy, I like the fact that the market is volatile, right? I like the fact that it's up 5%, down 5%, up 5%, down 5%. When it just sits there like that, it makes me nervous. It does, right? So volatility is energy, per what Michael Saylor tells you over and over again. 2.9 billion inflows. Arbitrum up 40% last week on a partnership with Robinhood. Absolutely nobody paying attention to that at all. None. You have any idea what happens? They start running finance on layer twos. Circle applies to become a bank. Hello. Right? Bitmine immersion stock triples as it raises $250 million for an ETH treasury. You know, ETH has already gone to 1,400. It was back at 1,400 back in 2017. Where do people think ETH is going? There's no killer app. It's done. It's over. Okay, that trade's been done. So unless the whole market goes to zero and Robinhood wants to trade on Arbitrum, what are we doing? Well, what we're doing is we're ignoring massive amounts of bullish catalysts because things don't matter until they do. Right? Like during the campaign, Bobby Kennedy was running around talking about crypto and backing treasuries and the dollar with Bitcoin. Right? And then right before he was due to speak at Consensus, the Orange Man flipped his script right away and wound up at Bitcoin Nashville. That's how fast it can flip. You had a Bitcoin presidential candidate who was probably never going to win, pressure a top guy into changing his mind. So anytime they'd like to come up with the crypto catalyst, it's okay with us. Because, you know, this big, beautiful bill is cutting like a lot of stuff. You know, Elon's not happy. There's going to be a lot of people not happy. Corporations and rich people seem to be making out good. They're going to need the crypto bro vote. They are. And if the big, beautiful bill is seen as questionable, they're going to need the crypto bro excitement. Bitcoin carried everything. Altcoins crumble. What's next? Well, here's what could be next. Let's be honest. Let's come off this. Let's be honest, right? Here's what could happen to altcoins. Altcoins could do absolutely nothing till the fall, right? Or there are some Gann events, which we've talked about, that could spring altcoins loose, say now, say perhaps mid-July, right? Get a little pop in these underappreciated instruments. Now, if that's not true, then I guess we're looking at a 6-month staring contest or sitting around watching grass grow. Because again, it's hard to see how they can go lower when the big altcoins have got an ETF underpinning. So if you like a coin and you want to take a shot, take a shot. And I think the real thing to tell people is if your bags are down, right? What is the point in puking your bags out if the approval odds for the Solana and XRP ETF are like 90%? Right? I mean, I understand there could be bad trades and maybe you can't psychologically take certain things anymore. That's a reason to make an adjustment. But don't let one down day with stocks up discourage you, because back in April, when Bitcoin was at 77K, they were puking stocks and Bitcoin just took off and started to rally. Meaning, and we discussed this in the YouTube member area, and it's when I get smacked with the copy of Toby's new book, is that stocks and crypto don't necessarily move together or are tied together. So if you're going to get discouraged in altcoins because of the P&L or your MetaPay trade, okay. But don't get discouraged in altcoins because of what's going on in equities. Because what's going on in equities is like irrational short selling being unwound. Industry PAC, the Political Action Committee for Crypto. It's funny, Elon donated money and Elon's getting nothing, but the crypto PAC seems to have a lot more power. That, and of course, more crypto means more votes in the midterms and more sugar because the Treasury can create money. It's amazing what happens in Congress when you start offering sugar. This guy's adding 5,000 Bitcoin a week. One has to wonder what happens when this gets to critical mass. That's kind of what it feels like. It feels like Bitcoin just had, like when Bitcoin was at 90, it felt like Bitcoin had to like reset itself at 100. And now that it's at 107, it feels like it needs to reset itself to 117 and let the whole market adjust. That's kind of what happens in Bitcoin, right? They just accumulate, it, and then boom, it's off to the races. Right? Like, what is the case for Bitcoin to go down at this point after living through an entire quarter of nothing but scares? What's the rationale? There could be a Hail Mary Bitcoin tax exemption at the last minute, which I'm kind of hoping is my big, beautiful surprise. Now, this is something that the Orange Man doesn't get enough credit for. Bitcoin could take pressure off the US dollar. So he wants rates at 2%. I don't think that's going to happen. But Bitcoin as a form of money, Bitcoin is something exciting, is a distraction from the fact that the dollar has lost a colossal amount of purchasing power. Okay, let me say that again. When the Orange Man talks about, Bitcoin taking pressure off the dollar, he's talking about a situation where he wants the dollar lower. He wants it lower so U.S. goods abroad can be more competitive. Right? He wants a level of excitement in U.S. finance. Everyone's like doom, gloom. AI is going to take my job. Only 20 stocks are rallying. I'm short. I'm squeezed out. It's all negative. It's all negative, right? Now, negative news sells. But what happens if Bitcoin, up until a point it gets embarrassing, what happens if Bitcoin and crypto bros ride a wave of positivity and prosperity? Did you know that the Chinese are now involved with Bitcoin out of Hong Kong? They must watch the show. Did you know the Japanese are cutting taxes on crypto gains, because they want crypto bros out taking people out to dinner and making babies? They must watch the show. South Koreans own crypto, and more South Koreans want to own more crypto. They have a population problem. they must watch the show. Nobody has considered what happens if Asia gets involved in this market hand over fist. Bitcoin can't go down because you have all these US-based buyers, maybe metaplanet along with it. No one has considered what happens if Asian and US retail hit this market all at the same time. Particularly since, there's two cases for July 4th, right? One, Americans go to the beach with their phone in the beach bag. They check their phone and go, oh my God, and the hedge funds have to come running off the beach because the market gapped 25%, or because Americans are having trouble affording anything. Everyone just stays home on their phone, sees some green price action, and hits the green button. Again, we always, do we have to cover the negative stuff? There's always negative stuff in crypto, right? Today, it's stocks are up and crypto's down, and I can't believe my bags, and I'm so upset. I'm that upset. I was upset, right? I was like, Saturday, I'm like, yeah, here we go. Solana ETF, boom. And then I'm like, does somebody want me to feel that way? Do they want you to feel that way? So they can stand down there and take everything. Now, I know everyone says that on a down day, like, don't sell your Bitcoin to BlackRock. Don't sell your Ethereum to BlackRock. Okay. I know that doesn't work if the thing just keeps going down. But in this case, they got you emotionally. They got you emotionally on this one. Okay, here we go. AI privacy. The renaissance returns with decentralized AI. Decentralized AI dismantles centralized control and empowers community to create and govern their own AI systems. Their own AI systems. Here's Chromistica, a world like a future metaverse created by possibly the smartest person I know, who has got a book. Try finding a cyberpunk crypto book anywhere. There is now a book. Hackers versus hedge funds, right? John McAfee's Young Children versus Ray Dalio. Blank you, Ray, and the horse you rode in on. We got a book. And if you got no money whatsoever, you could read the first 4 chapters, and you might learn something in this book about why we need crypto. Antivirus. You like antivirus? You're going to love this book. $25, correction here, a paperback first edition, and $9 for the ebook. What you're reading on July 4th while you're sitting around waiting for hedge funds to get squeezed. Well, a book, how fun it is to kick hedge funds. I don't know, just kind of kick them out. Done. Not doing it anymore, right? If you seriously think about this, antivirus, right? 3 million market cap. 3 million market cap for antivirus, right? And they got Zohran, doubles down. Zohran is doubling down, and you have to wonder, okay, does anybody remember privacy? Does anybody? This is the second privacy-related tweet from this account, 2.3 million followers. Grandpa Keeter, Big Rich, can we check MOONPIG? Dude, we can always check MOONPIG. Eagle King is kind of a meme coin guy, you could say. And I don't know, it's kind of unbelievable that they hate this. It is, but it's not happening right this second. Is MOONPIG really down to 3 million market cap? Wow. So I guess it just goes to show you a couple things. One, you do have to be careful with meme coins, obviously. 2, this feels like people are giving up, right? It's like give up, and we'll see. On Saturday, it looked like Solana summer. If that's true, and my Gann analysis is correct, always a key to say if, but if the Gann analysis that the Patreon Platinum guys got and the Spartans of Patreon also got winds up being correct, this could wake up. However, like I said, in the meantime, but the whole market looks like this. The entire market looks like this. Brave CEO, we are in a metaphysical rebellion against big tech surveillance. None of this matters until it does. Let me ask you something. This guy in Manhattan, if he gets in power or like-minded people get in power, say in 2026, you don't know. What happens if they get in power? How are they going to do the things that they're talking about doing? I know what they're going to do. They're going to call up some big tech company and be like, hey, you guys got something that does blank? You don't think they could just push a button? It can happen? Oh, yeah, it can. And the need to get on chain, like I said, it could be one statement over July 4th. Because it's not like he's lying. It's not like this is not obvious. It's not like I'm making this up. Like, oh, yeah, I'm making up a mayoral candidate story. No. Happening. Okay. Google sends out a bizarre email saying AI will now control your phone's apps. Let's take a look at Deep for a member. By the way, members, whether you're like a VIP guy or the small $4.99 memberships, you do get priority on comments on streams. So you might want to go check that out. I'm having some technical difficulties getting Deep. Just bear with me. Okay, here comes the 4-hour chart of Deep. Okay, well, if we take out these bad prints, this is my hope for anybody that owns Deep. Very simple. Right? Rounding bottom. I hope this is a Coinbase coin. I thought it was. So if you look at this on a 4-hour chart, again, this thing's got these wild spikes to it. Here's a moving average on a 4-hour chart, and notice it's afraid of the resistance. And I guess I can't blame them, right? You wake up Sunday night. Okay, there's also an interesting moving average here. I believe this is the 200-day moving average. Okay, it broke out on Friday, and now it's just kind of sitting here. It's like, do you want to buy the dip? Deep is trending on DexTools. The Eagle King, as always, saving me with the symbol problem. Again, hoping it's this. Because this stuff's everywhere. Downward sloping wedges. Oh, I keep forgetting that this is SUI DeFi. Listen to me. Hasn't Robinhood woken everybody up about everybody's need to get on chain? Everyone's need to get on chain, right? They're using ETH layer 2s, and the market is like, man, I don't care. I don't care. Checking GLXY Digital stock. By the way, as a point of information, unlike the YouTube member area, we help people to such a degree, and our community is so enthusiastic about what we do that these guys come in and they super chat. They super chat when they don't have to super chat. So, gentlemen, needless to say, I'm grateful for that. But it should also tell you about the nature of our customer satisfaction between what I'm doing, the reports that I use with the GAN model, and just Toby Ward's raw power. Because if you want to see how smart she is and you want to have something entertaining like hackers versus hedge funds, well, you know where to go, right? I think we're going to have the link in the description down below. If not, I think the Eagle King can put the link in. You know, I want to thank, like I said, I want to thank our members because they kick butt, right? Don't miss Chromistica. I'm actually going to drop it. I know it's a shocking bit of technical savviness. I'm dropping it in the chat right now. Let's have some fun. Galaxy Digital. Huh. What do you know? What do you know? Galaxy Digital does a perfect little ABC correction and goes boom. Right? Right? Not to and also, you know, like I said, if you think of if you look at the Fibonacci work on Galaxy Digital, what do you get? This is a crypto hedge fund, right? Lovely little 50% retracement. Run all the stops, make it difficult around these fib numbers, and boom. Okay. Solid money flow into this after every, look at what they did to this in April. You know, the lesson of this quarter is that this quarter started off with everybody selling in April. The bottom of the market was April 7th. Hi, welcome to the second quarter. The market's going to zero. They didn't want Galaxy Digital at $9, but at $20, it's much more attractive. Right? And again, if you look at these mining companies, you know, like Wolf poked its head above the 200-day moving average. Hut is building the biggest mining facility ever. Why is no one trading this? You know what happens to Marathon Digital if Marathon Digital goes through its 200-day moving average? Other than T-Bone leaving work early for a good lunch. Yeah, I mean, look at his base. This crypto trade can spread out. Keep saying that, right? First it was just Bitcoin. Now it's Bitcoin and Solana and maybe XRP too. XRP just sitting on that 200-day moving average, right? And every time it goes up, they sell. Like it's happening today. Goes up Saturday, they sell. Okay, well that's not great. But if they keep selling it and they don't take it down, what happens? What happens? Now let's talk about something completely crazy. You want to get crazy? Let's get crazy. What about Cardano? What about Cardano? Do you know you got a 13 bottom in Cardano? That's interesting. And it's confirmed. What happens if they start taking out resistance at 61 cents? I'm just saying, right? It's like they take it down, they break the support, they make it look horrible, they put the 13 bottom in. Then what happens if it goes the other way? I mean, I could get on the stream and say, well, you know, crypto could go down. Wow. What exciting content that is. What about the 13 bottom in Solana? And by the way, when you start to move the other way, this was the ideal dip day in Solana. This was the ideal dip day. Just going straight off the DeMark math was the ideal dip day. Now, ETH, we can't seem to get anything going, but this situation where the downtrend, right, it paused, then it looked like it was going to restart, and then it reversed. You know, again, as we enter thin holiday markets, markets could do nothing. There could be a negative geopolitical event, or the orange man and his crypto czar make good on a big July by doing something on July 4th when the market is thin, when hedge funds are out, when the market is closed. You want maximal crypto impact? Do it when no one's there. Okay, so Bitcoin running away from 110, and we discussed this. It would be funny if the nine signal, right, this little uptrend completes itself with a burst through 110. That would be funny, wouldn't it? Because again, you know, if you go back and you look, right, like Glassnode, Bitcoin demand generation, back to 2022. Another more somber note about the Fed. So let's talk about the Fed, right? So one angle is on the Fed, stocks are at all-time highs, everything's at all-time highs, money supplies at all-time highs, government sugar being handed out, and they think the Fed should cut rates. But what people don't realize is 1/3 of Americans can't pay for housing. The labor market is, frankly, an accident going someplace to happen. Had like a couple conversations where people start off telling me what they do, and they just say, yeah, my job can be done by AI. This is happening, and there's no job growth in the labor market. There's no job growth. There's no reason to hire people at this point, which may be why they're trying to go for corporate taxes, even though that is somewhat nauseating. There's no job growth. And the Fed is behind the curve on all of this, right? So stonks and all this stuff are at all-time highs. Yeah, because the Fed's behind the curve. And when they come in and have to cut, they're going to cut aggressively. And I don't know how much longer Powell can be in denial about the labor market, right? I don't know. I mean, he's got to be seeing this. I can see it. You can see it. It's obvious. Okay. They start cutting rates. Rate cuts are factored into equities because they love helicopter money in equities, right? Helicopter money was a saying that was developed back when Ben Bernanke was around, where the Fed just dropped money on everybody perpetually. Stock guys thinks there's no reason to cut rates because stock and home prices are at all-time highs. I think the fact that stocks and home prices are at all-time highs is a reflection of the fact that they expect rate cuts, at least in stocks. In housing, they've got to unlock the market. They've got to unlock it. And I don't know how to do that except to try to cut rates or be able to use Bitcoin as collateral. Okay, you keep this up, you keep this wealth inequality thing up, yeah, you're going to meet the guy from New York City. And when we meet the guy from New York City, it's going to be the biggest crypto boom anybody has ever seen. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of politicians and whatnot reacting negatively to him. Oh, they can go right ahead and keep on doing that. I love me some good propaganda. But the fact is that guy is dead serious, and so are the people that voted for him. And here we are, this giant facility, the decentralized machine, cranking it up, getting ready for the new mayor of New York City. How amazing would that be? Michael Saylor reminding you, in 21 years, you'll wish you bought more. Hey, man, in 21 months, which I don't know when November of 2026 is, you may wish you bought more in 21 months. And this guy's not going to stop. Why should he? Everyone wants to sell it to him at 100K. Everyone wanted to sell it to him at 20K. So what? Right? Like Michael Saylor is red pilling the world. And I don't know that we're paying attention. I don't know. I mean, it's on the tape every day. And this, I think, is a psyop. I thought this guy was a psyop the whole time. This James Nguyen guy. 40x leverage short. So he was 40x levered long, right? When he allegedly lost $100 million. Again, whatever this is, it's getting a huge amount of attention on Twitter. It's kind of become like the Jim Cramer of Twitter, where this guy says he's doing one thing and there's probably a hedged position somewhere else. This feels like a BlackRock creation. Literally, it feels like a psyop. Oh, let's get short. Oh, the market's down. Oh, let's get everybody all wound up and upset. Okay, is it upsetting? Yeah, it's upsetting. But that's why you listen to the YouTube member podcast, right? Because you don't fall for that. And then you get in Patreon Platinum or just Patreon, where we're just feeding you, hey, this is when you do your research. I swear, I was on a podcast. I was on a webinar once in 2021 where a guy said, I can't wait for the bear market so I can buy. This, of course, is when everything is just mooning incessantly, right? Coins came out and, everything was going straight up. And one of the things I thought in my mind is, well, first of all, dude, don't wish for the bear market. There's a reason why they call it a bear market. If you run into a bear, it turns out very badly. There's a Leonardo DiCaprio movie where he runs into a bear. That's why they call it a bear market. Bear markets are like obviously hard, but everyone says they want to buy when it's up. Like, wow, if I could go back in time, I would buy. Right. But in the meantime, what you don't realize is that in the bottom of the bear market, in the abyss, nothing looks good. Everything looks terrible. And who knows, on this July 4th, I was actually wondering about the possibility of a V bottom, right? Where maybe they take it down, they scare everybody, and then they bring it back harder. I don't know. There's always a twist around the holidays. I'm trying to get you as ready as I can. Because I'm going to tell you this. And I may tell you once, and I may tell you more than once, right? Like, this is you today. This is me today. They don't know what they're doing. That's a song. They don't know what they're doing. That's probably what it feels like. Plan to target certain neighborhoods with higher taxes and says billionaires shouldn't exist. I remember when guys like Reverend Al Sharpton were considered radical. They were just sort of liberal. Like, can we have like equal rights? Can we have equal protection under the law? That's what used to be liberal. Now you have the Fed, you have 15 years of printing. Yeah, people can't afford groceries. What do you get? You get this guy, right? And I hate to say it, but don't cry about it. Don't cry about it, right? In New York City, they laugh at the little people. They're laughing at the little people on the West Coast too. This guy, all the things about him. Like 20% of New York City is, it's like one form of worship, and he's on the other side. He's only been here for 7 years. How angry do you think people are? And then what's going to happen if something like this goes down and no one understands what it's like to be on chain until they realize that that's a way to avoid a bail-in or wealth confiscation? In the meantime, in crypto, we can get rich off these themes. Like, I never talk about that, right? Everything is like, oh, let's get this money. BitBoy used to say that, right? And every headline is like, millionaires will be made. Like, if you want to get someone's attention on YouTube, millionaires would be made if you watch this video. I generally don't do that. Millionaires could be made. Millionaires could be made if there's a debt, sugar, rate cut, privacy, urgent need to get on chain. Think it's ridiculous? It's not. Robinhood's working with Arbitrum. Is that the last ETH layer 2? Is that we're not going to trade on ETH? Just Robinhood, right? Just them. Now, I understand your frustration, and here's the final word. You're like, what about my bags? My bags are down. I'm getting killed. Haven Peck wants his leg back, right? Bear market has wrecked everybody. Everybody. But things don't matter until they do. The bullish catalysts are all out there. They're all obvious. And part of the frustration trade of this is that no one wants to trade the bullish catalysts. Maybe there's not enough liquidity in the system. Maybe the Fed's got to wake up, or maybe they got to do something out of Washington to shock the world. I don't know that you can say that they're winning on all the things they say they're winning about. Yes, the stock market turned around and made a new high, but are they winning? Maybe. If they're winning, they should pivot to crypto. If they're not winning, they have to pivot to crypto. They have to. Okay, that is the market update for this Monday. We will see you tomorrow.